Morning, Road.
Good morning.
It's a minion.
Yeah, this was a COVID Ari.
I just told him that's
Ari, what's your father's name?
Abraham Steven Schmuck.
it's my saying the
And today is the Yortzeit?
Zayn.
Zayn? Yeah, Ari. Alan. That's around. Yeah, we'll look together. Okay, let's get started. It's a beautiful, beautiful Sunday. Baruch Hashem, the world is warming up a little bit. When you start at below zero, it's nishkafela. But definitely by learning a little Torah today, we'll warm up. And today's learning is sponsored by Ari Lekovid, his father, Avraham, Tzvi, and Shmuel is Yortzeit this week, Yud Zayin Shevat. So I'm a lichtike Gan Eden and Mitzvah Hashem that Ari is Olam Nachas Bonim Ubnei Bonim. Someone asked me a question, talking about Kibudav. He's taking care of his father. You know, it's a dim pruta. Sometimes dim pruta and din meya, it's the same thing. The question is a question. He's taking care of his father. His father was a successful businessman for many years. His father's not such an old man. Mitnamol, his cognitive ability was like took a dip. He was hit with dementia. And a young man, and he couldn't practice whatever his profession was. His father now had 24-hour aides in the house, and then it got to the point that even with the aides, it wasn't sufficient. So they had no choice. He put his father in a special home to take care of his father, take care of his needs. A lot of people think they're never going to put their parents into a home chas v'shalom, and it would be very nice to keep his father home, but he had no choice. He liquidated the apartment, his father's apartment, and a silly little thing. There was a nice big umbrella sitting there at the door, and he knows it's not his father's umbrella, but there were a lot of aides coming and going. So the shaila is Ashavas Aveda. Is he mechuyev b'Ashavas Aveda, or could he keep the umbrella? Simple shaila. As I said, din pruta kedin meya. You say, oh, what's the umbrella worth? It's worth $25 or something. What's an afkamina? The Torah is a Torah, and we have to know what to do when it's $25 or $25,000 or $25 million.
I cannot. I am as insignificant a person as I am at some.
Okay. Now you're talking fancy stuff. Now you're talking lumbus. Okay, it's Nick. Huh? Oh, so you're talking good things. You're asking all the right questions. Okay, you're asking all the. So first, let's. Oh, that's also shaila. Is it considered a simon? Because umbrellas are made not one at a time. They're made tens and thousands at a time. However, if a person uses it after a while, they could have a simon. You can have a scratch. You can have a bang. You have one of the things, it's a brachen on the right, on the left. There could be.
Was it sitting there?
It was sitting there for a little bit. Okay, so first I want to set the stage because one person mentioned the shaila about a goy, so that for sure has to be to set the stage on that. And then I want to go into what I think is the real shaila over here. So let's just read a little bit in the Rambam. The Rambam Hilchas Gezela Perikid Aleph Halacha Aleph writes Ashavas Aveda Yisrael. Ashavas Aveda Yisrael. Ashavas Aveda Yisrael Mitzvah Sasei. Shenema Hoshet Teshivim Lo Chicha. Varoi Avedas Yisrael Nasalam Venicha Eve Baroi Tasei. Shenema Loiti Resher Chicha Vasalam Temehem. Bittel Mitzvah Sasei. V'Meshivim Ki Mitzvah Sasei. Avedas Goy Muteres Shenema Avedas Achicha. V'Machzir, if a person gives back Aveda to a Goy, it's a terrible thing. Arei Zoiver Aveda Neshemachziki Deiri Shoelim V'Machzir Lakadosh Hashem. If he gives it back to the goy in order to give to make a kiddush Hashem, adarabah, that's good. The makom sheishchilu Hashem, osra avedase osra v'chayev lachzira. Makom machzinisim kelim neganom keklisaram nedaki shalom. So like this, if all the workers were going, There's no question. What happens if some of the workers are Yidden? So someone might say, "Oh, it's a simple din that if it's a Ir Sheruba Goyim and when you lose an Aveda, the person is for sure miyayish from it." So, but it's not halacha l'maishem asin. It's a rational thing. It's a thing in Baba Metzia that it's a funny thing. This is a sugya. That's the first sugya that you're learning right now, huh? Right? Very nice. Sashgacha protest. Huh? So Ari's doing it for Yutas Kislev. This is the first sugya that children learn, Minik Yisrael. And it's an interesting thing. I always thought that pshat is that why the kids learn first Elam Etzias, because it's very tangible. A kid could take out 3/4 out of his pocket and put it on the table. Kashir, Kishura, the Gemara says if it was in this way, that way. It's a very tangible, lost and found. It's a mitzvah taka loy tuchel isalem. It's a mitzvah hoshet tashivim lachicha. But once it's a mitzvah from the Eibush, the rules are super rational. Yeah, yush, not yush. All these things are very rational, and it teaches a child to start using his head. So I heard from my Rebbe, Rav Heller. He said, no, that's not the pshat. He said the pshat is, I just saw a beautiful pshat. He said he had it by Kabbalah. He heard it from that in a lot of sugyas in Elam Etzias, it finishes off with teku. So the child says, what's teku? So the Rebbe says, teku is tishbi yitar, it's kushas v'abayas. So right away when the kid starts learning Gemara is bemes, a very rational. Rabbi Ozer, good morning. So it's a very rational thing about Elam Etzias Shaloi ve'elachai v'hachliz. But a child finishes, it starts off that Gam ki yaskin lo yosem imenu, a child finishes and the rest of his life should be that he knows that the yisoid of limud Torah is tishbi yitar etz kushiyas v'abayis. If it's a shayla, I really don't know the answer. I'm waiting for Mashiach Tzidkenu should come and tishbi yitar etz kushiyas v'abayis. Anyway, let's learn a little bit the Gemara in a vein. Isa the Gemara about Metzia. Yu shaloi medas. What's the din about yu shaloi medas? What does it mean yu shaloi medas? The person right now doesn't know that he lost this item. Had he known he lost this item, he for sure would have been miyayish. He would give up. Abaya Omar loy have yeyush. Rav Omar have yeyush. The Gemara contains bedova sheyesh b'siman kol amaloi pligi. De lo have yeyush. I forgive the shmin and the miyayish lebesoif. If it has no siman, so I'm sorry, if it has a simon, but obviously simon, kol amal pligi, the lava yush. I've got shmin on the mayash l'besoif, lava yush. Why? Very important. I want to read it in the Gemara because this is a very important thing in my mind as the shaila here. If a person came into his hand be'isur, because he was really right now mechuyev, if I pick something up at this moment, I'm mechuyev to do a shavas aveda. I'll show you some of the Ramban. This will never change. Forever I'm a shomer. I'm a shomer socher. Why? Because the Gemara says that the oisak when a mitzvah potam and a mitzvah. So right now I'm being busy doing the mitzvah shavas avodah. I don't have to give tzedakah. So therefore I'm a shomer socher for it. So once it came into my hand be'isur, it already had a simon. So it doesn't help that later I heard that the person is miyayish and the person screams vaylech yisorim giz. It doesn't help because it came lisura hu de'asa liyod chi yoda the nafel minei. When it fell, loy miyayish meimer ames on nisli begavei even if it's on v'shakilna. Right when it fell out of his hand, he said, "Oh, no big problem. I have a simon. It'll be announced, and I'll give the simon. I'll get it back." So b'shas the person picked it up as a surah asli yadei, and therefore, even if later he hears the guy scream out "Vaylech yisorim kis," it's not going to help. Now, bezuta shel yam b'shlelusa shel nor. If it gets lost in the river, and as the Gemara will explain later, he pligi bedavish aim by simon. Abaye Omar lo yavayush de lo yoded enough of money. It was not miyayish, but poil it was not miyayish. He didn't know that that he lost it. Rav Omar have yeyush. It is yeyush to chiyoded enough of money miyayish. Meimer Omar Simon Leslie begavei. Mehashto the miyayish. It's as if he was miyayish from now. Now we know that Rav and Abaye always halacha is like Rav. Lavar miyal kegam. There's an exception of yal kegam. Yal kegam. The first one is yush shalom edas. That lo yav yush. I mean the Chsidish Sforim have a party on this. That that the pshat is that a yid is never allowed to be miyayish, and if a yid is miyayish, it's shaloi medas. It doesn't make sense for you to ever be miyayish. Yush is shaloi medas. Okay. Anyway, the halacha here, this is one of the things of Yal Kigam. The halacha is like a baya, that even if a person loses $1, which there's no simon, so it doesn't matter. But if he didn't find out yet, it has to be that he was long. If you find that it was long enough that a person might have been memashmish bekisei and say, "Oh, vaylich yitzor kis." But if you found it before, then the yush is not a yush. That's what the Rambam paskins. Let's read it quickly. Yush shaloi medas afilu b'dav v'shein b'simen ain't a yush. That's not considered yush. It wasn't miyayish. Keitzad nafal men a dinner v'lo yoder boy. He lost the dinner, but he didn't know. He didn't know that he lost the dinner. Even though later, when he'll realize that he lost the dinner, he'll be miyayish. Even if he found out, but he has it in his mind that maybe, it's here or there, it's not yush. The Rambam continues next halacha. He saw that his friend was walking, and a dinner fell out of his pocket. And the friend doesn't know about it, but he sees it, right? Even till today in Iraq, the currency is a dinar, right? Mm-hmm. And he took the dinner. He was over one asay of Ashev Teshivim and 2 lavim, like Tigzel, like Tuchel Isalam. And if he gives him back the dinner after the person was made yayish, matona hizu. It's just a matona. He's a nice guy. But over Kollel Yisurim, he was over all these surim. All the Rishonim asked.
No, I didn't think of the
so what he's supposed to do? Most of the Rishonim say that he has to give him back the dinner. It's stuck in Breda. The nafkamina would be if a person lost a specific item, that he would have to, he would be mechuyev to give him the value of the item, but not the actual item. But all the Rishonim ask, I don't understand. It's a lava nitek lasei. It's a simple rule that you don't get malchus in it because it's a lava nitek lasei, because he can fix it. A person steals if a heshev is exela fixes the stealing, therefore doesn't get malchus on it. So what's the big deal? Why is it we stick it? This is a gemara. It's a gemara. So why is the gemara say that matana de balam de kayoevle? So there is the moer, which has a pshat, and as usual, the Ramban knocks him from all sides. I just want to read inside the Ramban pshat because it's just sheer brilliance.
But if he picked up the dinner, but it's in mind, they're going to give it to him back.
That's different. There's 3 cases. That's taka different. Shakla v'taya rishayim bazar loma yesh ba'ashavas aveda. Aval benot ligza ein ba'ashavas aveda. So, and it's not only that. The Rishon ask why, if he had in mind to give it back, and then the person was miyayish, there is perfect ashavas aveda. If he picked it up, stamazoi, and then he goes to Rav, and the Rav says, "Oh, well, you picked it up before Yush, so okay, he doesn't have a heshev exela." So why is it different in this case when he picked it up in order to gamvit? The Ramban writes like this. Fun, it's just unbelievable, brilliant shot. Ef shaliknas biyush neisha yodei kiyad abaylam. If he picked it up stamazoi, he can't be kind of through Yush. Why? Because the second he picked it up, his hand became like the hand of the Bailam. The Shoymasachim Shalamu. He is now the Shoymasacher. He only has 2 hands. A person doesn't have 4 hands. When my hand became his hands, I don't have my own hands anymore.
He doesn't have to give tzedakah.
Exactly. He's a Shoymasacher, doesn't have to give tzedakah. And my hands are his hands. I can't be coin it. It's when it's in my hand, it's in the Balabas's hand, because I'm his shomer. But the guy that picked it up because he wants to steal it, he can't say that if he picked it up to steal it, his hand is like the hand of the Balabais. He picked it up to steal it. So the Gabba the Balabas, it's as if it's still on the street. And therefore, once he's miyayish, it's nikna. This chayfet is nikna to this guy. Legamri. Now it's niknas legamri biyush matam aveda. He was coined, and there's nothing you could do to change the fact. The fact usually if it's on the ground and the guy was already miyash, you pick it up, it's heter gomer, you're allowed to have it. But here's it's an anomaly. It's a very funny case. Here, he picked it up to steal it. So you can't say, Yodaki Yad Balabais. His hand is not the guy's hand. He's befedish, you would said he wants to steal it. So now it's like a neutral karka. As soon as that Balabas is Meyayish, the Ganev is koinet. And it belongs to him. So how could it be the Heshiv Zagzela Shagozel? It belongs to him, it's his. Well, Lapoil, when he picked it up, he had in mind to do Gzela. So he was over on the three Avedis, and there's nothing he could do. He might be Mechuyev even in Torah to monetary, to give him back the value of it, maybe. But this is a very funny case. The reason I'm showing you this Ramban, because it'll be Negay in a second, to one more, I'm sorry that it's taking long, one more piece of Gemara and we get to the point. The Gemara says, he found a bucket of tar. Tar is very important. Even today, when you do the roof of your house, you got to get a couple of buckets of tar, and then you get the shingles, and you have to tar is used at Samayom. So it's a valuable thing. A bucket of tar could cost $50. He found a bucket of tar. He found it in a factory where they make oil. Take it, it's yours. That's it. Do your roof. Next time you have work on your roof, use this tar. But Rav saw that the guy was like uncomfortable taking someone else's tar. You know what? Give it as a gift to Chia, my son. He was trying to bring out.
He would even
You
let
have to
his son
use
use
it.
it.
Yeah, I will give. If you have any doubts that I'm telling you it's kosher for you to keep the barrel of tar, you know what? I'm telling you, I would give it to my son Chia. So obviously it's kosher. Okay. I talked to Gemara. It's a simon that he had a specific mokim where it was. That he saw that in the top of the barrel was already growing like little plants. Like it's obviously it's a very old. The tar is good, but on top was growing these little. So therefore, for sure the person was meyayish. That's an interesting thing that you said. By the way, this is not what I wanted the main Makuda here, but you see over here that Yush is not some Halacha l'Moshe Messinai. That we see there's a svara. It's like a svara ba'alma, even though really he knew his makom that's there, but the fact that he didn't come back to get it and it's already growing little plant, that the person was meyayish. Okay,
It depends on the location. Because
Could
if
be
it was in a different location, tar is something that somebody doesn't use that often.
right. If it was in his house, you're saying, okay.
Yeah.
But this was in a public place, right? This was in a public place,
Right.
and Mistam, if it already grew plants, he said he was meyayish. Huh? I'm sorry, no, there's an oil factory. I give a gas.
So maybe it belongs to the owner of the oil factory.
Kosa v'ritve. Vim toimer. Ritve is a little not your question exactly, but a little different. V'liske beimor de matzart. The person, it's his rishus. It's his rishus should be kind for him. Doch etzayde shalodim kind shaloi shaloi medaitoi. V'yei shaloi medahochim ayde shamatzarte b'mokim she'ena mishtameresh ladas habaylam. Over here, it's talking about that matzarte is a place that's not mishtameres. A lot of people are coming and going, making their oil. It's like you walk into a bank. Almost like you walk in right now to the bank, you want to make a deposit, and you see a $50 bill on the floor. So what's the din? You take it, you put it in your pocket, and
to the bank.
it doesn't belong to the bank.
No,
It doesn't belong to the bank.
It
doesn't belong-
customer side. There's
Yeah.
100 people on the last hour.
It's a chotzer she'ena mishtameres. So if you go in, you walk into Chase Bank,
Wait for something else.
why is it not mishtameres? Because people are coming in and out.
Gotta be something else.
No, but it's not mishtameres. I wouldn't say it's mishtameres because the guards are looking for
Steal money. They're not.
Yeah, they're not looking. If someone left an umbrella there at the garden that someone else went and took it, the guard is
That's very different. People come in, they pay $5 to use the oil.
that's more. You're saying the oil press is more ain't a mishtameres than the bank.
It's a public place that people pay.
Okay, I hear. Okay, so you're slow enough.
It's my property.
I do.
What up?
I hear.
What about the fact that it's cameras?
Okay, let me say a different example. When you're saying a bank has a guard at the door, we say at a lobby of a hotel,
There is more than that. There's
privately
cameras.
owned hotel,
But
but it's not mishtameres. So if a person puts a bag Taka Yidden wouldn't steal, but Goyim steal, right? So I mean, it's not mishtameres. Someone else could take it.
My backyard also, a guy could jump the fence and
Uh-huh. Not
What
the
about
same.
cameras?
Not the same. Yeah, what are you saying?
There's cameras. You could see who fell from.
That today there's cameras. I hear. Okay, so you know
I
what?
would think an example would be like, let's say, a shmara matzah factory, where people are coming in and making shmara matzah, and then at the end of the day, when it's cleaned out.
But he said there's cameras. Even the Shmor Matzah factory these days have cameras.
Nowadays, but we're talking.
Yeah.
Non-cameras.
No, I was trying to apply-
Resolve a lot of things.
No, I was thinking,
I found the hat of my car.
Plus, it
And
doesn't
I
go
don't know
back
who
2 years.
uses
The video cameras.
You found a hat?
in my car.
So
So it's either I was giving somebody right and somebody left it, or maybe I was davening maybe in the shul and forgot to take it off and went. I don't remember.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
enjoy.
A car is for sure Chotza
I
Mishtameres.
was at,
Right.
look at my bank, you can't say,
It doesn't look very much.
Okay. Okay. You know what? Let's leave the bank aside for a minute because that's the Shiloh today was not the bank. Avaloran Tiditz. What did the Ran say? Vim toimer likne legite lebalagas. So he says v'yeshloim the koidem yush hoise. It was before yush. V'lo yadifa chatzedem yodei. The kol eichad the bisuda asal yodei lezoche be'liyoylom. So the Ran says what happened was that because chotze is koine loy adarabe. He turns it on its head. He says the chotze is koine. So the owner of the factory of the shemen is he was already tamen liyode bisuda. The guy wasn't miyayish yet. Well, how do we know that it's yush? Because it's stayed there as long as olabait tzmachim. So right when it came in to his factory, it was if he had a mitzvah ready of Hashavas Aveda. So once, as we said in the Gemara, once you have a mitzvah of Hashavas Aveda and it's in your hand, there's nothing you could stand on your head. Once you pick something up and you have the mitzvah Hashavas Aveda, you have the mitzvah of Hashavas Aveda. The fact that that guy was miyayish doesn't change the status.
The Gayush doesn't push away.
Nothing. No, that's what the Gemara said before.
Is it time?
100 years, nothing will change if it came into your hand.
It's an oil factory.
Yeah.
Oil, it's hard to make from oil.
Huh?
It's hard, it's made from oil.
Yeah.
It's
I
not, it's mamish like a thing. It's mamish what it is. It's mamish, it's hard, it's made mamish from oil. It's a bucket which came out of the, and there's 1,000 people.
I don't know if those days that's the way it is. I don't know.
There's
don't
an
know.
obvious question.
Yeah.
How do you know if you got it before you get Mayayish?
Hmm?
What?
Every case, you don't know.
No.
So.
No, one second. In this case, we said that the Mokim was a simon. So for sure, and why was eventually he was miyayish v'haraya that it was elat tzmachim. So if the Mokim is a simon, so right when it came into the reshus of the owner of the factory, he was mechuyev to do Hashavas Aveda. That's what the Ran is saying. Elamai, 2 to 3 years later, when it started growing plants on top of the barrel, is when it was used. So that's what the Ran is saying. It's as if I picked something up, I'm mechuyev Hashavas Aveda. 3 years later, I hear the guy scream, Vaila chasor and kis. But now it's not going to help anymore, yush, because I already have it in my hand. So I have a mitzvah Hashavas Aveda. The yodi kiyad balabais. I'm a shomer.
Away, you would assume that it's the owners, and like while he's renting out, maybe he sells it.
But his chiddush was that really the balabas didn't pick it up. The balabas has no idea what's going on, and because it's in his rishus, it says if he picked it up. It's an unbelievable chiddush. I think that the Ritva didn't give this answer because the Ritva disagrees with this chiddush. Why is the Ritva giving a different answer than the Ran?
Has to put it away at that.
Yeah, the Ritva says, look, the balabas didn't pick it up. You're telling me. I'll tell you a few svaras that you could say in this way or that way. One by a man, the chotz is koine midin shliach. That's why a cotton, his chotz is not koine for him. A little girl, her chotz is koine for her because chotz is miyoda. By a man, chotz is mitam shliach. And there's a cardinal rule that that's why
Can be a cut.
he can be koine also. His chotz of aktana is koine because it's mitam yoda. A chotzer of a cotton is not koine because of mitam shluchi. I'm saying in our case, you could say, I asked you to do me favors. I'm saying to my shliach, to my chotzer, who asked you to do me favors? You're making me headaches. But on the other hand, my chotzer could say back to me if my chotzer could talk, My kochotza could say, what do you mean? I did you a favor. I did you the mitzvah of Hashavas Aveda. I picked it up for you to do the mitzvah of Hashavas Aveda. So if I could talk to my chotza, this is what might go on in this conversation. So obviously, it seems to me very obvious that this is the machlokes between the Ritva and the Ran. The Ran held that if it's in my chotza mishtameres, and so therefore I already have the chiyuv of Hashavas Aveda. And there's also in the pasuk it says like tuchal lisalam. So the part we say it's when the chiyuv starts when you pick it up, but in Torah Shabbat it's like tuchal lisalam. It's a ma'idashut. So like tuchal lisalam, I have a chiyuv Hashavas Aveda. But the Ritva says no way. It has to be mamish in my hand. Otherwise, I have no mitzvah of Hashavas Aveda. So this machlokes.
How can he say that?
Wait, we
Because we see
Yeah.
the Gemara keeps on saying the pasuk taka says latuchal lisalam, but the Gemara always uses the lashon ki osa liyode when it came into his hand.
But we say chotzer is like a hand.
Right.
So how can the Ritva be followed on that?
Yeah.
So that's why I explained to you. The chotzer is first of all it's not my hand, it's my shliach. And there's a cardinal rule by shliach that I tell a shliach tikun shedartich v'lo la'avsi. I only sent you as a shliach to do good for me. You're doing bad for me. If you didn't pick up this barrel of kufra, then I could have been zeichet for myself. And now that you are oiba chacham, I'm talking to my chotzer. If I could ever talk to my chotzer. Now you are an oiba chacham.
Be kind of for the good.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Any shliach can only do for good for me, not
But
bad.
you just- Oh,
That's
that
a
was-
cardinal rule by
uh,
shlichus. That's a cardinal rule by shlichus.
Whether doing a mitzvah rises to the level of doing good, even though it's a mitzvah, that's the machlokas.
This could be.
So what about
I've
the
said it.
Madonna
It
that
does.
says that the Balabas has to hold on to the tar indefinitely.
No, I'm saying
that's-
if the balabas picked up the bottle of tar, versteht there's no question
I
that if
thought
he
we
picked
were
it up
talking
the
about
day,
just by it being in
it was just in his factory. So that's the
factory.
machloikis. Why was he not zoiche? So the Ran says because he just by the fact that it's in his chotz, it's as if he picked it up and he's chayav already Hashavas Aveda. But the Ritva says
So
no.
he doesn't hold that the chutz is only.
No, he holds that the chotzer is my shliach and he was
Only for
zoiche
the
for me. Yeah, he did good for me. I have now the mitzvah of Hashavas Aveda. I'm a lucky guy.
Usually that doesn't fit into his shopping. It's not more than that.
Here is
It is
not
that.
here. This is a different type of thing. There was a simon. This is a funny case. There was a simon. This was not because there was a simon, mokum simon. Elamai because it was a chidush davar that even something that has just like b'shlulos shalnor that it has a simon, but once it falls into shlulos shalnor, the guy's miyayish. It's a simon is not halacha l'mayishon azinai. I mean, it is. It's a saying it's a pasuk. It says Asher Tovid Mimenu Matzasa. We learn it from Asher Tovid Mimenu Matzasa, but it's a logical thing. The Eibishter wants you to think if the person's miyayish. Again, the Ran says the chotzer picked it up for me. I'm a chuyev Hashavas Aveda. There's no way I could ever be zoichet. And the Ran says I could be zoichet. That factory was put a very public place. So what's the nafkamina? Was the mamish our umbrellas and nafkamina? So mamish our umbrellas and nafkamina between the Ran and the Ritva. That the house of this Yid's father probably is a chotza mishtameres. It's a house of mishtameres. Just because a few workers are going in and out, it's a chotza mishtameres. So now one guy left an umbrella. Now, even if you'll say that some of the workers are going, even if there's one Yid, it's not like so you have to be choshesh for that one Yid. Okay, so it's a chotza mishtameres. So if you're going to hold like the Ran, so it's as if his father picked up the umbrella. He's now mechuyev Hashavas Aveda, and that's it. There's no going back. Now that there is a yush, there's no way going back. Now, in my view, it's as simple that there's already yush. Why is it yush? Because the workers find out that this guy is going to a nursing home. So it's like even if you say the umbrella has, second. Even and I'll tell you later about the hat. Even if you say that the workers know that this man, on the 5th of January, he's going into a nursing home. They know that eventually the family is going to liquidate the apartment. So even if the umbrella has a simon, but the work it's like it fell into zuta shel nor. What's going to happen when a person puts down an umbrella? Usually they don't chap right away. They put down the umbrella. When they chap, they put on the umbrella. Either it's the next rain. Hey, where's my umbrella? I left it in someone's house. So if it's a worker, and the worker said, "Oh, but the 5th of January he went to a home." So the family probably liquidated the apartment. So it's probably as good as falling into Zute Shel Yam and Benor. So now Gonna call the family about umbrella.
How do we posket in the machlokas Ritva and Ram?
Oh, we'll get that in a second. This is what I want to talk about. So, so he looks in his house and sees he's not there.
Where he lived.
Huh?
Where he lived. Forgot where,
He forgot where.
but you told him and you reminded him.
You don't know who to call. The problem is there's so many workers here. People are coming and going. You don't know who to call. Because if it's one worker, you know who to call. Yeah, so he doesn't know who to call. The shaila is he coined it or not. So I would say, if he could, he's allowed to use the umbrella or not. If he's allowed to use the umbrella or not, is it Yimunachat Shiyav Elio, or he's allowed to use it? So I would say this would be a classic machloket between the Ritva and the Ran. The Ran would say, look, it was in your father's chotzer, your father was coined, your father's Mechayev Bashavas Aveda, that's it.
And
You can't find that. Okay, so Yimunachat Shiyav Elio. But if you ask the Ritva says that if it was, no, you're not coined it. The Ritva says you're not coined it. So therefore, so father was not coined it. Now there was probably Yush. So therefore, he's allowed to keep it. Now, so B'chal Dinim Ominous, you say Kimli. I could go like whoever I want, but here is not simple. You can't say Kimli's Poshet. What do you mean Kimli? It's Ebeshet Chizok, like Tochel Ezal, Hoshev Teshivim, as Amitzah say. Give a Kimli. I'm deciding between the Ritva and the Ran. I want to say that there's one more little thing in this case that would tip the scale. If his father had a shtickle dementia, so it's a shaila if he has any mechuyev and mitzvahs. You could say a person's mechuyev, if a person has dementia and he goes in the street and he picks up a chayfetz, is he mechuyev right now b'shavas aveda? Probably not. I mean, if he Baruch Hashem has enough cognitive ability to do it, he mitzvah the ovid, but if he put it back down, did he do an aveda? No, because he's not mechuyev mitzvahs right now. Because the chereshoyt of a cotton is nebach aveisner. Huh? No.
So it would depend who
It would
owns
only
the
be
house?
arevis if he picked it. No, it would be like this: if he picked it up before he had dementia, and he's mechuyev and hashavas aveda, so it's chal b'chiyuv. So now it's a serious thing. So his son should do it for him. So otherwise his father. But his father taka was chal on him the chiyuv. But here the chiyuv was never chal on him. So when the Eibishter said "Lo tuchel italam," he was saying to a person that has his full cognitive abilities, but a person that's a chereshoyt of a cotton that doesn't, that he picks it up of them in the stuck in mitzvah. Lo tuchel italam hoshev teshivem lochicha. So because his father didn't have the full cognitive ability, so I think here both Rishonim would agree. The nafkamina would be in many cases. Sometimes people leave things in your house and there's no simon to it. So here takadu would be the shaila. Because they were not meyayish right away, they're only meyayish later. So I would say this is taka the machloikas these two rishonim, and to me may have a suffix that I sell chumra. But in this case, that his father had a problem with his cognitive ability. So how could you say that he had a chiyuv hoshev l'teshivim lachicha? As I don't see why anyone would say that the father had a chiyuv hoshev teshivim. So what happened now? Now the people were meyayish. A couple months went by, so the people were meyayish. So I think that there's no shaila that is allowed to use the umbrella.
It would depend who owns the
If he
house.
doesn't want to use it, he can bring it to me. I don't need umbrellas.
It would depend who owns-
It
it would depend who owns the house. If the father, let's say, is living with one of the kids, then
No.
the kid has the mitzvah.
If he lived in his son, yeah. But that wasn't the case. That he was his own apartment.
Yes.
Well, one quick show. We said before if somebody drops money in a couple places, we just cover drops money and he runs to pick it up and with the mind to take it. He might have a show. Geneva.
I don't think people argued with me. I thought that it's all these places like a bank or an airport or a hotel lobby.
Before you even know. First, Halacha says.
Oh, so then you're in a pickle, yeah, because you picked it up before you. She suited the Osleo day, and you can't, but you don't have any simon to give it back.
How are you supposed to know
No,
when
but if you see your friend drop it, you see the ring that drops the money.
So you mechuyev to pick it up and give it to me.
And you say if you pick it up with a mind to keep it, you might be showering.
Right, but if he picks up a mind to do a Shabbos Aved, then he catches his friend.
Can't even say that. You see, they're probably say that if somebody does something. People don't do things with the real person. So even then, did we say that he had mind on a
Could you?
The Gemara was talking a theoretical case. It's not an everyday. The
No.
Gemara wants to say, the Gemara wants to, because we're in-
We say by.
no, the stomach, we
by
don't say.
taking it, for
Yeah,
example,
I agree with you.
he hit something until he can forget it.
Right, Bistama would say he didn't pick it up for Gzelin. Bistama, he picked it up as an Adam kosher. But Ostama, he picked it up as an Adam kosher. To say that he picked it up at Gzela is that the guy has to be like, like the Gemara says, the person was over with 7 or 8 lavin by eating Achila Achas on Yom Kippur. The guy has to be like a super Talmud Chacham and out of his mind, but at the same time, he has to have full cognitive abilities because otherwise he's a shoita. So he has to be a shoita who's not a shoita. The guy has to be tzedreit, but really normal at the same time. And he has to be a big Talmud Chacham. So why is the Gemara telling it to us? A guy like that. But because the Gemara wants to bring out that when you want to say where the perimeters of halacha is, it's always the gvul is always somewhere in a funny place. If you go, someone once mentioned, if you read the whole Reb Chaim and the Rambam from top to bottom, how many nafkaminas that are like everyday nafkaminas between that? He has a pilpul, he ekes out a nafkamina. There has to be a nafkamina. Without a nafkamina, your pilpul is nothing. Ekes out. Ah, but also from Chaim is gerecht, nicht gerecht.
I'm wasting my goal, whatever I do, that Machoto shouldn't be kind of anything.
A good question. I think yes. It's, yeah, you could make such a night. But then I was talking this time. The person didn't make it night. Probably yes. It's a good child. Yeah. Yeah, it was same as the headache. Yeah, probably yes.
He
Yeah.
posted
Probably yes.
he posted a sign on his property.
I don't know. This is a good question. Post a sign to say all kinds of draconian things against the Torah. I don't know. But this is
We see
fair
signs in
thing.
many public things, even including in shows, if you leave something
That's
more than
exactly
30
what I'm
days,
That's what I'm saying.
you see that in shows.
That's it. I don't know. I'm not sure all these signs if they help or they don't.
If you
Masna
lose-
mashikosa b'toira. He was asking a simple question. Say, look, it wasn't masna mashikosa b'toira. I'm just saying l'toiv l'mutiv. I also won't be going to. It will be a tzvi shaver that will run in. So
No, but Rabbi, that's so different. You finished what you were gonna say.
I
If
was
you
just
leave
saying
things
that
for
you
30
see
days,
something in the show.
It'll be thrown out. Throw it out.
they'll throw it in the garbage.
Yeah, but that's not that it's not yours, Michael. It's just you're throwing it out.
Yeah, but who
Or
says
cleaning
that?
up. That's not okay.
What we're learning this morning is that sign, hold water, that if anything, if I leave something in the show for 30 days, that the show can say now it's no longer yours, the show claims it.
You're leaving the show,
They've had
knowing
that
that
for
that's the
years
rule.
already.
I don't know. That's a good child. I don't know.
So
I'm not
maybe
sure.
another time-
I'm not sure. It's good child. Think
This
about
show
it.
doesn't have that sign.
We don't have that sign because I'm
And
not
look how many
comfortable with that sign.
things we have.
They have that in
But
yeshivas
the-
where kids lose their sperm. They'll have like little shots and people just take it because after 30 days, that's it.
I know.
How much space would we have if we put up a sign like
I've
that?
known people that have done that. That their friend took their shots and it's mine now because the yeshiva says it.
They never put up
I'm
a
not comfortable.
sign.
I'm not comfortable. That's it.
So-and-so.
Since the question was raised, maybe even next week we'll. Mine. I don't know. I don't know if this sign
You never
helps.
see on the
But
sign.
maybe this-
A pip sagt in the Fedish Marsham, the Das Teure Simon Yudal of Toshe Mishpret.
But maybe the
That's
sign
what-
itself changes the.
I hear.
the playing field.
I don't know. Think about it.
It's a contract. You
I
can't-
hear. I'm not
You
sure.
can't leave your stuff here unless you accept the contract.
Yeah,
I hear.
If you're coming into the house, it's
I hear.
If there was a policy without putting up the sign, then I could hear that it would be a problem, but that sign maybe changes.
But it's the
What happens if people-
Here.
The policy.
You get sick, that's it, my stuff belongs to you.
I think that's the law.
We'll put it on hold. Yes.
There has to be
Okay.
a sign. There has
I want
be
to
a
fill
sign.
in another 2 shilas. Hopefully we'll go quick on this too.
Right.
Okay. Last week we spoke, 2 weeks ago when I was here, we spoke about something, and a few thoughts came into my mind. The Shaykh is the Chamisha Asabov. Chamisha Asabov is a minig Yisrael to eat Peiris, and we're going to have a Fabrengen tonight.
What time?
I'm sorry, Chamisha Asab Shvat.
Yeah.
Chamisha Asab Shvat tonight. We're going to have a Fabrengen 8:30. So I want to finish off on something that I started off. I mentioned this actually once. There's a sport called foraging. People go into the forest. I take a blade with them in the pocket and a tent, and they don't take any technology, nothing, no food, no bars, no peanut butter, no chocolate. Megate Arazoy in the Wald for a week, and they find out which type of fruits and nuts and things you can eat, and which are poisonous. It's the truth is it's not a Balei Chaim. For them it's innate. All the Balei Chaim know there are Balei Chaim that eat things that are very poisonous, but they know the Eibishter created the mommy tells the children, how to take out the chelik, which is poisonous, and to eat the chelik toiche ochel.
You mean animals?
Yeah.
That's what they do. They wait to see what the animal eats, and then they'll eat that, right?
No, I'm saying when those animals that eat scorpions, right?
Right.
So they're not going to eat the stinger. How do they know that to eat everything, not the stinger? But the Eibishter made it that way. But the human beings also have a certain LMI. Because we go on Avenue J and we buy things in mountain fruit and pomegranate, so we lose a little that sense. But when you go into the forest and you have to be there for a week, so you start natural instincts kick in to try to figure out which is poisonous and which is healthy, and that's okay. So we spoke about this, that the Shulchan Aruch says that the fruits that grow and that don't wild, the bracha shakel nibidvore. The poskim say why shakel? Because we're talking about things that are tam garua, that have a bad taste. Had it have a tam shubach, was it delicious? Then the bracha would have been by the Adama. Then we said that the Arizal, the Alter Rebbe brings that Arizal, and the B'shari Tshuva brings that Arizal said that no, anything grows in the tree, even if it doesn't taste so good, and even if it grows wild, the bracha is by the Pri Eitz, and if it grows in the ground, the bracha is by the Pri Adam. So we spoke about this that those that disagree, they say you can't pass on like that Arizal. This is Kabbalah. So I said that I don't think that Arizal, who said that Arizal Paskin here Pi Kabbalah? The Arizal was a Gongo, Otzim also Nigla, and who said he Paskin Pi Kabbalah? So I want to read inside a new pshat that went into my mind of why the Arizal thinks Pi Nigla, that also Pi Nigla, if you eat any fruits from a tree, it's by the Pre'etz, even if it's growing wild in the forest and it doesn't taste so good. The Gemara says in Menachos, Dalit Shebalulav, there are the four things in the Lulav. Lakachtem, Lakicha Tama, Omer Ebchonim Barova, Loi Shon El Shein Loi, Aval Yesh Loi Emak. The Gemara says that it has to be Lakicha Tama, you have to take all four of them. So the Ebchonim said, if you have the Lulav and the Esing and Dasim, even one of them is on the table, it's not Ma'ak of the mitzvah. So the Gemara says, what? It's not Ma'ak of the mitzvah? Meisvi. Dal, minim shabalul bezman, moisen pedis, bezman, meisen pedis. Oisen pedis, use cooking lens, aina moisen pedis. Shaina moisen pedis, cooking lens, aina pedis. Beina dem yitzich, basavam, achikulam baguda achas. Bechen Yisrael Bartzor, achikulam baguda achas. Shina ma, boina b'shmam ali Yosef, agdudosa, leritz yisoda. So we see that, and this is we learn halacha from here, that the Yidden, that's why we say B'Yom Kippur, why? Because if we have a tinus and there isn't a poishi soul are not included, so that's therefore we say there is a beautiful there's a
Jews or something like
Vayonim.
They were those who put it through.
But the thing is that the Welt fragt Akasha, why do we do it only in Yom Kippur? Why don't we do it in Sum Gedalia? So the Welt Emfit, because Sum Gedalia, the Vayonim are not coming to shul. They're only showing up. The UJA appeal is not only happening by Kol Nidre. It's not happening on Sum Gedalia. So therefore, Zakman does not act upon it. Joking aside, the Sadin, and the same thing by Lulav and Esek. The Eibishter said there's two types of Jews. There's two Jews that give paydas, my payda mitzvahs, Rashi says, and two Jews don't give paydas, and two do give paydas. And therefore they have to be baguda achas in order to be yoytze the mitzvah, that one is machapa on the other. So and this is the Gemara learns that you have to have the Lulav and Esek and the Adas Maravis together. Which are the two She'enim Moisim paydas? So Rashi says it's the Adasim and the Aravis. So the Sheboyle like it says, Adasim don't give fruits. They have these little buttons on them that are fruits. Shema Minah, that because the Adasim grow wild, so that they don't have the bracha of Priya Eitz or Priya Dama. The bracha is just Shahakal. That's his raya. It's a very funny raya, but that's his raya. No, this is a Menachas, Daf Chav Zayin. It's a Sugya Menachas. Let's read it a little further in the Gemara. The Gemara is Tanoim, Taka Machloikis Tanoim. Tanya, we learned, Lulav Ben Oged Ben She'en Oged Kosher. Rabbi Yehuda Ma Oged Kosher, She'en Oged Pasir. My time at Rabbi Yehuda, that said there must be Oged, Gama Kicha, Ma Gudas Ezev. It says, Lakachtem Lachem. And by Gudas Ezev, it says also, Ma Lashon of Kicha, Ma Lahalam Ba Guda Achas, Afkam Ba Guda Achas. But Rabban Aloy Gamre Kicha, they don't learn this Gzeri Shava. The Gemara Kaman Oz Lahod the Tanya Lulav Mitzvah Agdim Lo Yog the Kosher. Kaman Ikar Rabbi Yehuda Lo Yog the my Kosher Ikar Rabbanon my Mitzvah. So Gemara is like Lo Olam Rabbanon. On my Mitzvah Mishum Zakeli Van Veu. That's what Salach in Shulchan Aruch. That you know you're yoytze even if you didn't do a igud on the 4 minimum, even if you're not ma'agid. But it's mitzvah Zakeli Ma'ameu that you should be ma'agid all 4. But if you ask a kid, if you ask any child, what is the simon of the 4 of the lulav herzeg adasa ma'arovas? He's not going to tell you this Gemara. If you ask, you come home today and ask your child, what does the lulav represent? Who is the lulav Jew? Who is the esek Jew? Who is the adasim Jew? Who is the arovas Jew? He's not going to tell you this Gemara. The kid's not going to know this Gemara. Why? Because that's not what Rebbe taught him. That's not what Morah said. Morah said that the esek is a Jew that has tam v'reach. And lulav is a Jew that has only tam. And adasim is a Jew that has only reach. And arov is the Jew that has not a tam and not a reach. And that's what your kids will tell you. Funny thing is, it's taka, not a Gemara, it's a medrash. So why is the Rebbe and the Morah only teaching the medrash and not the Gemara?
That's what their Morah talked on.
Let's read. I think I have something to. The medrash says like this: Miyom Kippurim Adacha Kol Yisrael Asukim B'Mitzvos. Zeh Oiseh B'Sukkot Zeh Oiseh B'Lulav. Ubiyom Rishon Shalcha Kol Yisrael Oimdim Lifnei Hakadosh Baruch Hu Leveim V'Sergem L'Shmoi Shel Hakadosh Baruch Hu. V'Omer Lahem Manda Ozel Ozel. Whatever happened in the past, I forgive everything. Min Hocha Nochil Chushbena. Ulefikach Moshe Mazal Yisrael Lokachtem Lachem B'Chiyam Rishon. And the medrash over there says because no Jew, in other words, that no Jew has a busy. The Eibusha forgives all the sins of Yom Kippur. And the 4 days, no one has a chance to do an Aveda. I love this medrash. 4 days are busy. When you're busy, you don't have a chance to do any Avedas. They get yourself busy, they no chance. And on the first day of Sukkot, it's the Begema Rishon L'Cheshbon Avonis. L'fikach Moshe Mazal Yisrael L'Kachtem Rishon. And medrash says a whole bunch of derash on L'Kachtem Rishon. It finishes off with this one. Dover Acher. Pri Eitz Hadar Eli Yisrael, Ma'aser Yesh B'Tam Yesh B'Reach Kach Yisrael Yesh B'Em B'nei Adam. Yesh b'm toiv, yesh b'm ma'asim tovim. Kapas tmorim el Yisrael ma tmor azu yesh b'tam ve'im b'reach. Tamar, which is a dates, it has a delicious taste. Delicious dates are, in certain parts of the world, there's hundreds of varieties of dates, and it's a whole. The dates is a big, what chocolate is for us, dates for them. And I'm all in Eretz Yisrael. Just like one of the Sheva Minas Sheshtapchem Eretz Yisrael. One of the things that the Romans did when they were machriv the Beis Hamikdash, they were busy because Eretz Yisrael was filled with delicious trees of tamarim. It was tzadik atama yifrach all over Eretz Yisrael, and they went and they burnt. That's the way Yosefim describes it. That they burnt hundreds of acres in all over to destroy all the tamarim that were native to Eretz Yisrael. Eretz Yisrael was really a land that was one of the native fruits is a tamar. So tamar has a delicious taste, but it doesn't have a reach. Kachem Yisrael, yesh b'em toiv, ve'em b'em ma'asim tovim. V'anaf eitz avos el Yisrael. Ma adas, yesh b'reich ve'em b'tam. That adas is a good reich, but there's no tam. Kach Yisrael yesh b'em ma'asim tovim ve'em toiv. They have ma'asim tovim because ma'asim tovim smells good because it's also someone else can enjoy it. Toiv is only it's sweetened to me. V'nar v'nachal el Yisrael. Ma and what's this guy has nothing to it. Ve'im batam ve'im bareach. Kachim Yisrael yesh man she'ein behem toy loy toy v'loy ma'asim toy. Ma Kadosh Baruch Hu oisalem la'abdani efshir because they're his children. Ela Oma Kadosh Baruch Hu yukshiru kulam aguda eches ve'im achapri meilo alayla. Ve'misisikach oisah shah ani mis'ala do deksiv b'boinim shmaim al Yosef ve'im mis'ala k'shemasuim aguda eches. Shenemar agod dosa eretz Yisodeh. L'fikich Moshe Mazal Yisrael lokachtem lachem b'yom harishon. I think none of the Mefarshim say this, but I think pshat, different than the Mefarshim say. What the Medrash is saying is like this. What's Lefikach Moshe Mazal Yisrael Karcham and Merishon? The pshat of the Medrash is that the Medrash says, what do you mean B'Yom Rishon? It's not B'Yom Rishon. It's day 15 in the month. So if the Medrash says, Rishon l'cheshbon avonos. So the Medrash says, Moshe got up and he scram out to the Eden. If you want to, if the Eibusha starts counting today, the avonos. So what should you do? I'm nervous. Today I have a chance to sin, and my Yitzhar is going to come, and I might be nishul. What should I do? I'll try not to be nishul. But what should we do? Moshe Rabbeinu, what should we do? So Moshe Rabbeinu, a guy got up on the bima and he said, Rabbi said, this is what you should do. That you should take it. Baguda achas means you should be misached zeim zeh, and when the Yidna misached bisachtus zeim zeh, and that's chus of their isachtus, the Eibishter forgives them, and that's the pshat in the Medrash. That's where the Medrash starts off saying that this Rishon l'cheshbon avonos, and then he finishes off lefikach Moshe mazel Yisrael lokachtem lachem b'yom Rishon. What the pshat that the Medrash is saying is that Moshe got up and he said to the Yidden, you know what? This is Rishon l'cheshbon avonos. So what should you do? Be misached when the Yidden misachtus. The Eibishter forgives their sins. Okay, this Medrash in the Medrash and the Medrash in the Gemara is very different. What is the difference? Several nyonim. In the Gemara, the maskon of the Gemara is that when you have to be put together the lulav, the esek, the dasam, narovis, according to Rabbanan, it's not a mitzvah in the dalad minim. It's a general thing of zekeli vanveyu. It's a generic thing of zekeli vanveyu. It's not a din. It's not a mitzvah in the dalad minim. If you are ma'agid or not ma'agid, it's not touching the mitzvah of l'kachtem lachem b'yom rishon according to the maskana. But according to the Medrash, it is touching. According to the Medrash, there's no machloikis. The Medrash doesn't bring a machloikis. The Medrash says that no, it's from the mitzvah l'kachtem lachem. It's a mitzvah and l'kachtem lachem. So that's one thing. Another thing that we see a difference between the Medrash and the Gemara is mainly the adas. The adas is very put down in the Gemara. That's why I think Rabbi Amora didn't go so much with the Gemara, because drush is a lot of times the neshama, neshmasa deiraisa. The way the drush is brought in chelak hadrusha b'toyre medrash, even though the Gemara also has medrashim in it, medrash chazal agodis, but doesn't come to the level of medrash rabbi, which is kol kuli medrash. So it's a little more b'shvochish shel Yisrael. Here we're saying that das got bumped up. The kid said that das got an upgrade. In the Gemara, that das was put together with that of Eino Sepedes and Gendik. But when we got to the Medrash, the adas got bumped up. We said, by the way, you should know that adas yesh b'reich bein b'tam. We didn't say Eino Sepedi, and we didn't even say Eino Sepedi. We're saying that ein b'tam is taka true. The tam is not as good. L'fiedech, the esrig, and l'fiedech, the dates, the buttons on the thing, but doesn't say Eino Sepedus. It never says Eino Sepedus. So taka the Shulchan Aruch paskins like the Gemara. It said that if you don't must be ma'agid. That minig Yisrael is to do it. But the Arizal easily could have paskined like the Medrash. Who tells you you have to paskin like the Gemara, not the Medrash? I mean, the Arizal might have decided that the Halacha is like the Medrash. As I mentioned, the Mora and the Rebbe shouldn't paskin with the Medrash. No one ever teaches the kids that lulav esek dasam arava mishnayim oisem peres mishnayim ein oisem peres. We teach our children yesh b'reich v'yesh b'tam, ein b'reich v'ein b'tam, yesh b'reich yesh b'tam. That's the way we teach it. Because bataka could be that Api Arizal halacha is like the Medrash in the Medrash Rabbah. So therefore, so it's a bottle the horaya that the Shiboyle Elokid had from the Gemara. I know it's a little cutesy. I'm saying it. It's probably other things that Arizal had in his mind, but at least today tonight is Chamisha Osar Tu B'Shvat, Chamisha Osar B'Shvat. Sakem Azagna Pesapshat. Listen, we learned the Gemara. We learned the Medrash. It's interesting that we don't teach our children the way it's in the Gemara. We teach it to them the way it's in the Medrash. So it could be that Arizal started to paskin like the Medrash. So therefore, what was the raya that Sheboy Lelakan had? That adasam, that fruits that are growing wild, and then have a good time because the Gemara says adasam ain't paid. But if we don't paskin like that Gemara, so again, there's a bottle the horaya. Okay, one more question. Someone asked me Friday, a shayla, they're taking a supplement, and they're taking it to pills of gelatin. So that says there's 3 minutes left. I'm not going into the whole sugi of gelatin. Maybe Blina the next week we'll go into gelatin. Gelatin was a big sugya that was about 100 years ago. There's a famous Truv in Achiezer from Reb Chaim Ozer Grezhensky and other Gdolei Yisrael that dealt with the oil. Today, most from Yidden are not going to eat products that are made with gelatin. Gelatin is made from the bones of chayas, treifos, or tmeos. They cook the bones and they take out of this thing that the gelatin makes things congeal, just like like today you have in the baking oil, you have a box of cornstarch, and you put it into things that you cook, that it makes it thick. It's a thickening agent. The Zabazach companies use en masse like jelly rings are made with gelatin. Kishmoy Kainhu. So there's a big shaila about gelatin. Lapoil today, most Yidei Mishleimim are trying not to eat products, even though there are Gdolei Yisrael that were matir to eat gelatin. Why were they matir to eat gelatin? Again, time is short. Maybe we'll leave it for next week or another week. But the shaila that this person has is they're nizah. They don't eat gelatin that's made from chayas, tmeis, or treifas. They eat if they eat jelly rings, they buy from Pashkas and Libers that they make the jelly rings from the bones of fish, which are kosher. That's why taka the kosher jelly rings are not the mohudic jelly rings are not always tasting as good, because it's still not as good as the gelatin that they take out from the bones of the behemoths that are tmeis or treifas. The person asks, they want to take a supplement, and it comes in capsules that are gelatin. So malasot, but that company is the best. They could buy a knockoff but they want to take that supplement. So I think the din is poshet betachlos apshitus. You just open up the capsule, you take out the thing, and you put it on your tongue, or you put it in a napkin, you roll it up, and you swallow it. It sat in the gelatin for who knows, 6 months or a year, but it doesn't. It's like munach bekufsa. It's not wet. The companies that are producing it are very, very careful that it shouldn't be wet. So the tam doesn't transfer from the gelatin capsule into the actual supplement of medicine. Now, the emesis is that those that say gelatin anyway kosher. And even if you took and here's less, because the problem of gelatin is because it says and this is not roy lager. The problem is once you put sugar, it is good roy to eat. But the shaila is once from afkid, he says already. But when the gelatin is in capsules taken, and you're also swallowing it, it's not the derech achila. So even if you really took the capsule.